All these years I've been in the street of 6th Avenue, and every day you're dealing with everybody, and then now you move in Virginia with nobody in the street, like a deserted. It's so hard. I feel like I was depressed for a couple days. So I'm glad I am working 7-Eleven, because I feel like I'm in 6th Avenue. Sometimes I just pretend this is 6th Avenue, you know, because I meet a lot of people from New York City. Hey, what's up?
I think it was the day of his birthday. He had a half a pint, and he made the statement to me. He was right here by my table, and he said, after this bottle, I'm not gonna have another drink.
I said, my birthday coming up, this is the last time I'm gonna take a drink, and that was the last time I took a drink, 10 months ago.
He's an extremist. He's, you know, if he's drinking, he's drinking. If he's not drinking, he's not drinking.
How do you feel?
I feel a whole lot better. I don't have no hangovers. I don't crave for no crack or no alcohol no more. I wake up, I feel like a new person every day.
And that man can do that shit just like that, just stop without drinking, doing nothing. He said he was gonna stop on his birthday. I thought he was lying. You proved me wrong. That's a success story right there.
I'm selling books to make money.
Where do you keep your table now? Where do you set up?
I set up on 14th Street, but I keep my table on 6th Avenue under somebody else's table.
When you're not set up, you mean?
When I'm not set up.
How much money do you have in your pocket right now?
About $240.
Can I see the money? 70, 90. $240. Can I borrow some of that? How much longer do you think you can last?
I hope it lasts forever.
I wanted to change my life around, and I wanted to do something with my life because I was getting tired of going back and forth to jail for, things that I was doing. I don't have to rob or sell drugs or nothing like that anymore because I have a 9-to-5 now, and I look forward to this job because I can grow on this job while I'm there.
What was different this time than the times before?
When I was released from jail, I was sent down to see the parole officer again. All right, and the parole officer informed me that for me to be out on the street, I have to have some type of income or something, doing something for myself, or else they'll violate me and they'll send me back. So I started working with CEO, just given the opportunity with CEO, and they just got me a job here at Chelsea Pier.
Do you think it has anything to do with you getting older?
Yes, it has a lot to do with me getting older. It's just that I don't have it in me anymore.
Had you ever had access to a program before when you came out of prison?
No, I haven't. It was just as soon as I got out of prison, I was out on the street. They need is more programs like that for guys like me and other guys who's locked up in jail, so they have something to come home to, because if they don't have these type of programs for these guys, it's going to wind up that they're going to be led back into the same thing that they've been doing.
What else has it been in your life that's been different this time than in the past?
I have a special lady in my life. I have a strong, supportive backbone in my life. I was looking forward coming out of jail and doing the right thing because I knew there was people out there who cared about me.
Sure? I don't know, man. I want to get off this book business like this here and get back into school. Go back and do some computers. Just go back into the working field itself.
I would just like to go back to the workforce right now.
What do you think it would take for you to do that?
A little bit more schooling.
An opportunity. And with a little discipline.
And what stands in the way of you starting to go down that road right now?
I don't know. See, that's the hard part.
My mom said to me just before she died, she said, Ron, I see you as an old man, no kids, no money, no nobody. Yeah. When you die, the government have to come in and get your body and bury you. Yes. I want to be able to change. Old Harbour Road, Whitewater. Old Harbour Road taxi. Old Harbour. Old Harbour Road charter. Old Harbour Road. Yeah, man, fly the trunk, driver, fly the trunk. Big man, come. Old Harbour Road taxi, 2 more. Old Harbour Road charter. Old Harbour. One more, Old Harbour. When I got deported, I didn't have nobody to come to. I didn't know nobody here. And I didn't have any money at the time. I stayed in the airport like a day and a half. Now, while I was there, all the deportees would be coming in, and they would give me a little money, so I could buy food, I make phone calls. Mainly rely on these taxis that carry 5 people at a time. If you help him to fill it up quick, he will give you something. You don't have to, it's not like a salary job, but they usually do. So he gave me $10. I met a guy that seemed to be a drug addict, and being that I was a drug addict in the States, it triggered something in me. And I asked him where I could get some of the drugs, and he took me. And from there, everything just got worse. By the end of the night, I was living on the street. I couldn't go back to the house that I was staying in because there's such of a stigma against people that smoke drugs that, put together with being a deportee, it just makes people in Jamaica want to stone you and beat you. You got it. Because when I used to live on Greenwich Village, people that live right there in Greenwich Village, right there on the corner, would invite me into their house, inside their house, their living room, to get books. Take all those books off the shelf here, you could use them, whatever. It's hard to get through somebody's door here when you're a smoker. I've been beaten several times by 20 or 30 people, Mark.
So you know he's a drug user?
Yeah, we don't like those things.
You don't like drug users?
Yeah, those things smash up the brains, man.
While loading the taxi, somebody must have pointed me out and said, that guy looked like a cokehead and he's a deportee from the States. What right have he to come down here, never send any money or nothing to nobody down here, and wasted all his time in foreign, you understand, and come here trying to get the little money that we have here. Some people consider me as like something they scrape off the bottom of their shoe. There's 2 toilets, but because, I'm a smoker, I'm not allowed to use the one that they use. I'm allowed to use this one. Sometimes it gets real cold in here at night, so I have to button it. You see these cardboards I gotta put around here.
It's all make up a bed.
Sometimes the lizards they crawl in, and it's swarming with mosquitoes in here. I usually have a little candle. A little candle that I keep, and I usually lie down here. What you got a key to turn that lock? Maybe you got something going for yourself. I live with the roaches and the rats. I feed them like I feed myself. I put it in a cup, and they're hungry, they wake me up. Anything inside a building is better than the street. I'm telling you, God bless me to get inside of here. I met some Italian people. I worked with them 2 or 3 years. And I kept working, till I got to the right person I love and I care about, and they care about me. So they did me a favor, give me a job. The job been being superintendent. This was the storage room. It was a bathroom. I made it out of nothing. Everything you see in here, I got it out the garbage. Every day I go in the street, I have to bring in the house a little by little. Look what I got, baby powder. I got alcohol, like this. This is my refrigerator, that's all I have in there. A lot of soda, a lot of cakes. I can't see it too good.
Corned beef.
Corned beef, oh, yeah, that's right. This is how I have to get it to get my ice. I ain't got money to buy it. I got to chip it off like that. It's good, baby, because you inside now.
Where's that sugar come from?
Where did sugar come from? McDonald's. For 20 years, I never watched a TV in for 20 years. I got my white clothes here. I got all the black clothes right here. All the pants is right here. They're not brand new, but all of them is fresh. I went to the laundromat. It cost me $35 to wash them. You got to help yourself. When I was homeless, I didn't have nothing. I lived in the street till I was able to go to the garbage and pick up this shit. Now it's clean. It's clean. Decent for me. This is my granddaughter. I pray God this kid right here go to college, get a nice education, which I ain't getting now. This is my bed over here. This is where I sleep. Sleep right here. I'm scared of a bed, because once you're homeless, you're always homeless. I slept on the floor 20 years out of my life with cardboard, churches, subway, everywhere. Let my old lady sleep in it. She said, "Oh, wait, get in the bed with me." I said, "Listen, I cannot do that." The hard says, "Richie, you got a girlfriend, and you tell her why you don't want to get in the bed." I'm telling you, it's hard. Because listen, you want to tell your girlfriend, and you in love with her, tell her that you was homeless for 20 years. You might be scared to lose her. You might lose her. You just might lose her.
A number of you have asked me what it was like making a film and whether it was a difficult thing for me to do that. And the answer is that it wasn't really that hard for me, in part because I worked with a very esteemed and established filmmaker, Barry Alexander Brown, the film editor and director, known for his work on many of Spike Lee's films as well as a number of his own important documentaries. Barry is somebody that I met when I originally met Spike Lee in the early 90s. After Slim's Table, my first book came out, Spike decided to try to make it into his first TV series for CBS, and he wrote a number of scripts in which he collaborated with Barry. And during that period, we got to know each other a bit, and unfortunately, the series never got made because CBS ultimately decided they wanted to do something that focused on a different demographic. But it turned out that Barry lived on the very blocks in Greenwich Village where Sidewalk was being written and researched. And when he asked me what I was working on and I told him, he became very interested ultimately in trying to put some of the things that I was writing about to film. So after the book was finished and it was about to come out, we took a digital camera and went to the blocks and started to film the kind of normal, routine interactions that I had described in Sidewalk. And it was a very, very, very interesting process, bringing the camera out there and seeing the ways in which it would and would not disrupt the men in their normal everyday activities. A camera is very different from a tape recorder. A tape recorder you can take and put down on the sidewalk or put down somewhere else, and it's not going to attract a lot of attention. In the beginning, when people start to be filmed, they pay a lot of attention to the camera and they do a lot of things for the camera. But over time, over months and then over years, the camera starts to fade into the background. And at the same time, digital technologies were changing, and it became possible for us to do the filming with a smaller and smaller camera. So it became less and less of a presence in the everyday lives of the men. What I want to do today is to talk to you a little bit about the process of making the film. And I'm hoping that this lecture could serve a dual purpose. On the one hand, I would like very much for this lecture to be a kind of methodological appendix to the film, just like the book has a methodological appendix. I believe that for the film to exist as a work of social science rather than a work of art, that it has to lay bare its own methodological assumptions and techniques so that you can be in a position to judge for yourself whether or not you want to believe what you saw on the screen. And in the process of that, I hope that I can try to enunciate some of the principles by which I work and do ethnography as a way of perhaps introducing at least one view of this method and this field. So let me begin by starting out and saying that when you see a film like this and you see me on the street doing a lot of the talking to the men, there's a big difference between what you see in the film and what is going on when I do research as an ethnographer. An ethnographer is somebody that's interested in participating and observing in the everyday life of the people that he or she writes about. And usually that means taking on a role as part of that community. For many years, I worked as a street vendor on 6th Avenue in Greenwich Village, right next to the men that you see in this film. But in the film, I'm out there with Barry asking questions and observing and going around with the men, which is not exactly the way that I did the original research. This was really a way of trying to recover some of those interactions that we saw earlier on. So when I think about what I do and the way that this method works, there are about 6 principles that I would enunciate that would, in a sense, perhaps summarize or describe what the method is to me and how I went about doing it. And the first principle is that talk can be cheap. Note that I say can be rather than is. One of those things that I'm looking for is people's definition of the situation. I want to find out, how do they understand the world that they are a part of and the experiences that they are having every day, which can be very foreign to me or to my readers. So as an example, in this particular film, you saw that the men go around on hunts for garbage, through the garbage, looking for treasures that they will be able to sell on their tables, books and magazines that they think may have some value. And when I first heard the concept of a hunt, that was something I had never heard before. And the hunt was a category that they had in their minds, a cognitive social category that they used to organize their own experience. And they told me that they got their books and magazines by going on hunts. Well, I could have listened to what they had said in the form of an interview and written that down and reported it, but as an ethnographer, I'm not merely interested in people's definitions of the situations and the concepts that they use to explain the social world, but I'm also interested in the things that they do. In other words, the ethnographic method is ultimately a comparative method for me in which people's behavior is compared to what they say. We compare what people say to what they do. And so I went out with Ron on a hunt, and I followed him through the streets with the camera, Barry and I did together, and we showed him going from apartment house to apartment house as he went about doing the garbage sifting and collecting until he found exactly what he was looking for. It was in the process of doing that for many years on the street in my role as a participant observer that I came to see that there was a close relationship between the concept and what people said and then what they actually did. The third thing that ethnographers are trying to do within the framework of talk is cheap is we're also trying to figure out what it is that people don't say, don't articulate, but take for granted in their everyday life. And so in the film you saw examples of the fact that there were certain aspects of their lives which for me, it took me years to understand because they didn't talk about them, like for the fact that they urinate in public places because some of them feel that they can't get access to bathroom resources and other places to clean themselves. It was things of that sort that would not have come out in an initial interview if I didn't know to ask about them, and were not discussed in the everyday life of the street, but took me years to find out were a basic assumption of the way in which the people out there lived. So that gives a sense of what people say and what they do. At the end of the film, you may remember that I asked Butterroll, who seemed to have turned around his life by no longer drinking any alcohol and had basically become sober. I asked him how he was supporting himself, and he said that he was now working full-time as a vendor, that he had his own table, and he was making good money. And I asked him how much money he had in his pocket, and he told me, and then I said, "Can I see the money?" Well, that's the kind of thing that you have to do if you're going to not take at face value the things that people say and that they tell you. And it's something that isn't always the most comfortable thing to do, and it's not something that you can always do without offending someone. But as you could see in this part of the film, Butterroll and I had known each other long enough that he gave me a friendly laugh and took the money out of his pocket, and it turned out to be exactly the amount that he said it was going to be, which was a nice indication that he really was living the way that he said that he was. So the first principle is that talk may be cheap. But given everything that I have said so far, and given that I've